Boom goes the dynamite. 185.5 today. Woohoo! That's right, the geek diet is back on track. If you haven't been following along, I've been losing weight for a little while. So May of last year, I stepped on the scale and I went, oh, this is just not good, right? I came to Asheville. Asheville's a beer town. Then I had some stressful time here. We lost Peanut last year. Started saying yes to a few too many beers, started saying okay to a few too many slices of pizza, and all of a sudden I was sitting there at 218 pounds. And I was like, yeah, this is not a good thing. So I started the geek diet. Again, eat less, exercise more. It was going well until like September. It still was going pretty fine, right? I've done half marathons and the whole 9 yards. I've done like 4 half marathons at this point. But, I started eating more protein, right? That's the whole thing. Oh, you're exercising more. You got to have your protein. And it's kind of funny. When I started having more protein, my weight loss kind of stopped. Because protein is calories. When you have your protein, there's also fats in there. There's also other things in there. Anyways, so I just got kind of tired of that. So I decided to go back on the whole geek diet thing. So we stabilized for a couple of months, and now we're going back down. So we're at 185.5 today. So my goal this entire time has been 175. 175 is my military weight or my Himalayas weight. The 2 times I was in very good shape in my life was in the military and hiking the Himalayas. And that's all I want to get to. I don't want to get to 170. I don't want to get to 160 or something. It's 175. These are good, healthy, adult weights for me. And I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep the regular running. So running like 5, maybe to 9 miles a day or every other day. Keep the little diet thing going. And then like in a month and a half, right? So I'm at 185.5. So you can lose 2 pounds a week. So 10 pounds, right? So about a month and a half from now. So, right, we're into January. So like by the beginning of March, I should be about a 175. And then I can go back to eating protein or whatever and stabilize at 175. So anyways, there you go. And if you're sitting there and you're like, Eli, but losing weight isn't that easy. It's like, yeah, no. Are you tired of that? I'm so fucking tired of that. Again, it's that mentality. It's that mentality that's been created in the modern world. I talk about these things. And people are like, Eli, for some of us, it's not that easy. Yo, jackass, it's not that easy for me. Again, when you go to bed at night and you're hungry, that is your body saying it would like more calories. And you say, no, fat bitch, no. That's not easy. It's just what you got to do. I think that's a weird thing in the modern world. They're like, but Eli, it's not that easy. It's like, no, it's not. I mean, is it that hard though? Come on, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. Is losing weight that hard? Oh my God, exercise more. Get an hour of exercise a day and eat less food. Is that really that hard? I've done some hard shit in life. I don't think it's that hard. It's also not necessarily easy, but it is something you can do. Again, that's my frustration in this modern world. Eli, it's not that easy. What the fuck? Boo-hoo. Anyways, how are you all doing? So hopefully I'll be finishing the most of the rest of the sessions for Bottle. So if you don't know, SiliconDojo.com is my pride and joy. We have a How to Found a Tech Business class coming up on Friday. We have old classes here. We have a self-study program here. We have office hours here. So the self-study program for Bottle should be finished today or tomorrow. I've got like 4 classes. I have 4 sessions to record on that, and then that should be finished. And yeah, so that's what's going on in Silicon Dojo world. So today, again, talking about crying, let's talk about white boys crying. God damn. Oh, that's the thing. Like when I was a kid, there was like, it's okay to cry. It's like, yeah, fuck me. Like a little bit, guys. A little bit. Don't get me wrong, right? If you're a real man, get in touch with your emotions. With your loved ones, shed a tear now and then. But not all the time. Like this constant white boy tear thing. I don't know how that's alpha. Have you noticed that? Like the alphas on YouTube. And let me say that you're bawling. I'm an alpha. Like, really? Anyways. So the white boys in Silicon Valley are now crying because Chinaman is cheating. Can't even make this shit up. Can't even make this shit up. Chinaman better give us back our money that's in his pocket. So, anyways, so there's DeepSeek. So DeepSeek is this new. Oh, there's so many different types of models. It's a what kind of model is it? It's not a multimodal. It's not a LLM. It is it's the R model. Anyways, it's the model of AI. That's not AI. None of this is artificial intelligence, to be clear. But anyways, DeepSeek has a new model that has come out for quote unquote AI that's able to compete with ChatGPT o1, which is one of ChatGPT's latest models that they put out. They've also put out an image creation Model 2. And basically, the idea that they're saying is that they were able to train their model, DeepSeek's model, basically using about $6 million and using a lot of lower quality GPUs, right? So the Biden administration, in order to keep the brown man down, basically decided that Chinaman can't have advanced GPUs. Don't know what's gonna happen if you give those Chinaman advanced GPUs. So Chinaman can't buy the latest GPUs that the U.S. is producing, and so basically the interesting thing about this is they say that these models were created using the levels of GPUs that they were able to have access to. And this is one of the things I've warned about for a long time. Is again when you start talking about nation state actors, the resources that are available are just astronomical. Again, we talk about NSA. So NSA produced a data center 15, 16 years ago. The data center itself cost $8 billion, right? And so one of the things I've argued is, so let's say you need, H1, was it H1000? Let's say you need 1,000 of the latest GPU cards from NVIDIA in order to do something. And so Biden U.S. restricts the ability for China to get 1,000 of those cards. Well, what if they can get 20,000 of a card that has half the power to end up getting the exact same results? Again, that's one of the weird things in the technology world is like sometimes, again, it's duct tape. It's what we do for a living. Again, what IT people do for a living is our first question is, what's the problem? The second question is what resources are you going to give me? And the third question is how many rolls of duct tape you got, right? That's what we do. We will build the resources you give us. So if you have Chinaman IT people and they're trying to figure out how to build things and they're limited in resources, they will build based off of what they got, right? And so anyways, this is one of the big questions that I have. And so that's the interesting thing with DeepSeek coming out now. So this came from a Chinese company. So the Biden administration literally stipulated that Chinaman has to be kept back, right? We have to put our knee on the neck of Chinaman because if Chinaman rises up, we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. So, anyways, and the idea being that we have the ability to repress the advancement of the Chinese society. I mean, come on, are there any other Americans out there that are feeling like a little weird about this in this way? Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So the senile old guy in the White House literally thinks he should have the right to repress the advancement of a society of like 1.1 billion people. I'm just, does anybody else feel like, that doesn't seem like a good idea? So, anyways, right? So, I've said for a long time, this is just a bad idea. It's just not going to work. It's kind of like, again, like the COVID vaccines. Remember when the COVID vaccines were coming out and we were all told once the COVID vaccines come that everything will be, cotton candy and fairy dust? And I put my hand up way back before the vaccines even came out and said, well, that doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Because, like, again, if you look at efficacy rates of vaccines and you look at uptakes of vaccines and if you look at the rest of it, getting a vaccine will probably make things better, but better. And then remember when the vaccines came out and then, oh my God. Anyways, that's my whole thing. Like I say with China, it just doesn't work. It's just like this is like I don't have to go into advanced quantum mathematics to explain why trying to repress China will not work. I don't have to go into like deep, philosophical, political science discussions on why trying to keep China down don't work. It's like pretty, yeah. That's. I mean, again, think about it. If you were American, if you were an American And a Chinaman tried to put his knee on your neck and say your society cannot advance because we, as the superior society, have decided you've moved up far enough. How would the American man deal with that? I do not believe the American man would be ever so amused. So is it a shock? Like China folks aren't amused either. So anyways, I'm not going to argue about this for a while. So now this is the interesting thing, right? So DeepSeek comes out, and now people have to come up with the excuse of why this has happened. What? And so now it appears that the reason being posited for why China was able to do this, Chinaman was able to do this, is because they cheated. They cheated. Because, of course, that's the thing about the racist playbook. It works. It works for any century that you're in. If you're in the 1700s, it works. In the 1800s, it works. In the 1900s, it works. 2025, mwah! Who needs to even edit it or modify it? It will work the same way, right? They are inferior, therefore they cannot compete with us. And if they can compete with us, well, the only reason they're able to do that is because they're cheating. So yeah, I can't make that shit. I am not creative enough to make this garbage up. Again, this is coming from the Financial Times. OpenAI says it has evidence China's DeepSeek used its model to train competitor. And so the idea here is what OpenAI is saying. What OpenAI is saying is that DeepSeek violated OpenAI's terms of service, ergo they cheated to win. And again, does anybody else find this hilarious? With white boy Silicon Valley tears crying. So wow, you mean the companies that have been mining the foundations of their own fucking society for the past couple of decades are now crying because somebody else didn't follow their terms of service? Again, think about this in the modern world, right? Literally, OpenAI states you as a content creator, you as a platform owner have to modify your robot's TXT file to keep them from stealing your content. You have to take actions to keep them from stealing your information. But then, if anything comes along and causes them problems, yeah. Oh, I love the masculine world of Silicon Valley. I really don't. Do you remember the days when many technology professionals, the reason they were technology professionals was because they came out of the military? Yeah, there was less crying about 20 years ago. It was amazing. I love this industry 20 years ago. You want to know why? A lot less crying. Still assholes. My God, so many assholes. But anyways, yeah, so coming from the Financial Times, OpenAI says it has evidence China's DeepSeek used its model to train competitor. White House AI czar David Sachs raises possibility of alleged intellectual property theft. When we do it, it's innovation. When brown man does it, it's theft. Here, Chinaman, you just put your X on this line right here, and then we'll own your country. OpenAI says it has found evidence that Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek used the U.S. company's proprietary models to train its own open source competitor as concerns grow over potential breach of intellectual property. Oh no, OpenAI! Did they breach your intellectual property, you perverted fucks? The San Francisco-based ChatGPT maker told the Financial Times it had seen some evidence of distillation, which it suspects to be from DeepSeek. The technique is used by developers to obtain better performance on smaller models by using outputs from larger, more capable ones, allowing them to achieve similar results on specific tasks at a much lower cost. And again, this is an interesting thing to think about. This is where I talked about eighth mover advantage, right? Again, in the startup world and technology world, there's this idea of first mover advantage. You're the first person to get into a vertical, you monopolize that thing, and then you own it forever. And surprise, that actually doesn't work that well. like the number of times that work is sort of shockingly small. Usually it's like eighth mover advantage. Again, if you look at Facebook, right? We had Friendster before Facebook, we had MySpace before Facebook, or Orkut I don't know what the hell that was, like a Brazilian thing, or Coot before Facebook. There were a lot of social media things out there before Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg came in and he saw all the good things and he knew that people were already interested in this type of platform and he was able to take over with Facebook, right? Yeah, that's one of the things with eighth mover advantage is you can come in and essentially you can mine the foundations of other people's ventures, which is lovely. And again, it's one of the interesting things that I think about with this whole AI deal is you have people putting so much money into these new or these revolutionary models, but if competitors can come in and essentially use those revolutionary models to train their models at a much smaller cost, again, you get into a very curious economic issue there. Let's see. Distillation is a common practice in the industry, but the concern was that DeepSeek may be doing it to build its own rival model, which is a breach of OpenAI's terms of service. Aww. Again, and this is where I find, Jesus Christ. Dear Silicon Valley white boys, can you stop playing to type? Can you stop? It's prejudice, it's stereotypical at this point. Quote, the issue is when you take it out of the platform and are doing it to create your own model for your own purposes, said one person close to OpenAI. And again, that's an interesting thing to think about with OpenAI, because OpenAI was supposed to be a nonprofit. Again, OpenAI, whether or not it's actually open source or whatever, again, it becomes an interesting question about what the hell are they actually doing. If you're actually trying to open the concept of artificial intelligence to the world, then allowing other people to train their models using your system, wouldn't that be synergistic with that worldview? Well, it would be if they actually want to make the world a better place. They don't want to make the world a better place. They just want to make their billions of dollars. OpenAI declined to comment further or provide details of the evidence, its terms of service, and again, declined to comment further or provide details of its evidence. We have evidence against the brown person. We don't have to show our evidence, right? Because again, up at the top, OpenAI, and again, to be clear, this is somebody else. OpenAI says it's found evidence that Chinese artificial intelligence startup used the U.S. company's proprietary model to train its own as concerns grow, right? The San Francisco-based ChatGPT maker told Financial Times it had seen some evidence of distillation. So to be clear here, right? This isn't a third party saying that there's evidence of this. This is literally ChatGPT stating that there is evidence of this illicit activity by DeepSeek, but then decline to provide details of the evidence. You don't actually need to see the evidence of the brown person being evil. I mean, they're fucking brown. Come on now. And again, and like I say, this is like a lot of people, oh, Eli, why do you keep beating the racist drum? Because this is why. This is why. This is Yellow Scare Playbook fucking 101, you sick bastards. If you're going to say that you have evidence that they've done it, again, whether or not that shit is good or bad or whatever else, put the fucking evidence on the table. If you say there's evidence and then you refuse to provide the evidence, you are a racist piece of shit playing on Yellow Scare 101 tactics from 100 and 200 years ago. Anyways, its terms of service state users cannot copy any of its services or, quote, use output to develop models that compete with OpenAI. DeepSeek's release of its R1 reasoning model has surprised markets as well as investors and technology companies in Silicon Valley. It's built on a shoestring models and have attained high rankings compared to results in the U.S. Leading U.S. models. Let's see here. OpenAI and its partner Microsoft investigated accounts believed to be DeepSeek's last year that were using OpenAI's application programming interface, the API, and blocked their access on suspicion of distillation that violated the terms of service. Another person with direct knowledge said these investigations were first reported by Bloomberg, but again, no evidence. Microsoft declined to comment, and OpenAI did not immediately respond to a request for comment on this detail. DeepSeek did not respond to a request for comment made during the Lunar New Year holiday. Let's see here. Earlier, President Donald Trump's AI and crypto czar David Sacks said, quote, it is possible that IP theft had occurred. Because yeah, when you pay, because again, remember OpenAI's API, we have classes on OpenAI's API that you pay for, that you pay for. Every time I teach one of those classes, it costs me a few pennies. So yes, when you pay for a service from an American company, that is theft. Quote, there's a technique in AI called distillation, when one model learns from another model and kind of sucks the knowledge out of that parent model, Sachs told Fox News on Tuesday. And there's substantial evidence that DeepSeek did that what DeepSeek did here is they distilled the knowledge out of OpenAI models, and I don't think OpenAI is very happy about this. Sachs added, although he did not, wait for it, provide evidence. Brown man bad. Period. Let's see here. DeepSeek said it used just a 2000 NVIDIA 800 graphics cards and spent $5.6 million to train its V3 model, a fraction of what OpenAI and Google spent. Let's see here. Industry insiders say it is common practice for AI labs in China and the US to use outputs from companies such as OpenAI, which have invested in hiring people to teach their models. This is expensive and labor intensive, and smaller players often piggyback off this work, insiders say. It is a very common practice for startups and academics to use outputs from human-aligned commercial LLMs like ChatGPT to train other models, said Ritwik Gupta, a PhD candidate in Berkeley. Quote, that means you get this human feedback set up for free. It is not surprising to me that DeepSeek supposedly would be doing the same. If they were stopping this practice precisely may be difficult. So anyways, it added, let's see here, the practice highlights the difficulty for companies keen to protect their technical edge. Quote, we know China-based companies and others are constantly trying to distill the models of leading U.S. AI companies, OpenAI said in a statement. It added, we are engaging in countermeasures to protect our IP, including a careful process for which frontier capabilities to include and release models, and believe it is critically important that they are working closely with the U.S. government to best protect the most capable models from efforts by adversaries and competitors to take U.S. technology. So yeah, that is basically what is currently going on now. It is not that China Man is actually, pretty damn impressive and they've got good engineers and that they're not going to be held back. The reason that they're able to do what they're doing is because they're cheating and they're stealing, blase blase. And the people stating that the Chinaman are cheating and stealing are the ones that very brazenly cheat and steal from the rest of their own damn society. And so yeah, this is the problem with this kind of rhetoric is, again, where does it end? When everybody's telling the Financial Times, when OpenAI is telling the Financial Times, when Microsoft is telling the Financial Times, when the Trump administration, because that's the cyber czar, the administration is telling the Financial Times, right? China is stealing, but we will not provide evidence. Where do you go from there? Again, what does the win look like? What does the loss look like? How do you create a strategy or a plan around that? And I think it just shows, again, how fundamentally insecure and weak my country is becoming. And again, it's like, what, are we going to put more restrictions on China? Are we gonna try to shove our knee into their neck even harder? And how do we honestly think China is going to react to that? And again, and the more roadblocks we put in place. Again, it's not simply that we're not sending GPUs to China at this point, but there's this whole level of restrictions the Biden administration just put in a couple of weeks ago about sending GPUs to European countries, to sending GPUs to Middle Eastern countries, to sending GPUs to South America, right? We are trying to put these walls up to protect our failing industries, and at the exact same time, we're making our industries ever less viable. Again, that's one of the interesting things, like being in the technology world. Again, I backpacked through India, 20 some odd years ago, when you would go to an internet cafe and God help you, 10 computers were using one 56K connection in order to download their emails. I remember those days. right? In those days, you could be superior as an American, right? We have DSL in our homes and all that kind of stuff. But come on, it's 2025, right? If you're good in technology now and you're in a geographic area that has a good tech sector, you can be quite successful there. And one of the questions you have to ask yourself, if you're a technology professional in Argentina, if you're a technology professional in Qatar, right? I was actually thinking about there's Web Summit Qatar. Anyways, there's Web Summit. It's there. I thought about going, but it's too soon. Anyways, right? If you're a technology professional, right? If you're a CIO, if you're a CTO, if you are looking at risk mitigation. So what risk mitigation is for your company when you're at that executive level, it's determining what risks there are to your technology infrastructure. What is the risk of a flood? What's the risk of a flood? What's the risk of a wildfire, right? If a wildfire comes through and wipes out your data center, what happens next, right? And there's regulatory compliance risks. Again, especially with Europe, right? If you're a European company, God help you, right? With data localization laws and all that kind of stuff. There's all this kind of stuff you have to think about, like with risk mitigation. Again, that's what I tell you is like the higher you get in the world of technology, the less you're typing on a keyboard and doing if-else statements, and the more you're basically reading laws and regulations in terms of service. And one of the big questions that I ask is if you're a CTO in a company that's outside the United States and you're looking at risk mitigation strategies, what is your risk tolerance for dealing with American companies? Again, if you're dealing with NVIDIA, right? If you're going to build out, you've decided you're going to build out a data center and you have to figure out the hardware you're going to use to build out the data center. And you see month after month that the U.S. administration comes through with idiotic policies, don't even make a damn bit of sense, idiotic policies to restrict access to this hardware, right? And so you're trying to build out a data center, right? And so you're going to build out a data center and it's got like 500,000 servers, right? But as you do, it takes time, right? You build out the data center, you got one rack, two rack, right? So you might be plugging in like 10,000 servers at a time. So you buy this, all the equipment for 10,000 servers, you get it installed, make sure that's working, next 10,000, next 10,000, next 10,000. Well, one of the risks that you run into is what happens if you get this 10,000 servers up and running and that 10,000 servers up and running? What happens if you get to 100,000 servers up and running and you're feeling good and you're feeling confident and everything is doing what it's supposed to do? And so you're ready basically to sign the contract on the final 400,000 servers just to get them rolling in the door. And then all of a sudden, the American government says, you no longer have access to this component you need for your systems to work. You've already invested in a data center and 100,000 servers. You had already bet on buying 400,000 more servers, and now you're stuck because some senile old piece of shit in the United States is scared of the China man. And you don't even have a damn thing to do with China. Again, I'm not saying you're a China CTO, a Chinese CTO. Again, you're in, I don't know, Kenya or something, right? You're going to be building out these data centers, right? Do you have the risk? Does your company have the risk tolerance to deal with the insanity of the United States? And what did they say? Like change happens very slowly and then all at once. And that's what I get concerned about, again, with our administrations. Again, going back to Bush and Obama and Trump and Biden, back to Trump, right? Again, using our monetary system as a weapon, using these export controls as a weapon, using these fundamental building blocks to modern society as weapons, not to necessarily protect Ukraine or not, but literally just because we believe that this particular civilization has gone far enough and we think it's our right to tell them they don't really need to go any further. And yeah, when does everybody else in the world just get tired of that horse crap? I'm sure some of you are like, Eli, when? When did we? Oh, a long time ago. So yeah, I don't know. So we're gonna start seeing more of this. Again, I think it's gonna be the destruction of the AI bubble. Like, again, because it's not AI. One, it's not artificial intelligence. Again, these models are great. LLMs are great. Multimodal are great. Whatever, reinforcement learning, whatever models are great. These are great. Again, I'm not anti them. I'm not anti them. But it's not. Again, they're not nuclear weapons. They're not the rest of it. One, I think the bubble's gonna break as we see They're not that impressive. And then two, again, we're gonna start to see more and more players be able to come in at these lower and lower price points. And you have these companies that have just simply been over invested in, and the value proposition simply isn't there. As I say, I pay $20 a month for ChatGPT, I do, but I use it for the classes. Like honestly, again, I'm a tech professional, the whole nine yards. I use ChatGPT in order to create classes for you folks. Again, like this bottle class and this about to do a SQLite class. And so again, it's syntax, right? Fuck, where do you put the comma, right? And so again, when you're dealing with a lot of different languages and you're dealing with a lot of different technologies, you forget where the commas go every once in a while, right? So ChatGPT is nice. I pull up ChatGPT and say what I want it to do, and it's like, there's the comma, right? And then I go. But that's all I use it. I shit you not. That is literally all I use it for. That's it. That's it. And that's where I say like the value, like I don't see these $1 trillion value propositions off of it. Again, I see where they're trying to shove AI in. So again, LinkedIn tries to shove in AI. It will rewrite my posts for me. Again, which is, I mean, from a technical standpoint, that's cool. But I literally don't want it. I don't want it. Go the fuck away. I think about like Wix. Wix is horrible with this. The only complaint that I have with Wix is actually how they try to implement AI, right? How they're just trying to shove in AI wherever they can shove in an AI button, and it literally makes the experience worse. Dear anybody who works at Wix, how you implement AI makes Wix worse. And I'm a Wix fanboy. And that's one of the things I see with so much of this. Like, and that they say, well, AI is going to be everywhere. And when you look at it, it's not that useful many times. Where they're shoving it in, again, it actually makes the experience worse. And then as we start to see these players be able to come in and undercut the value proposition, again, these old guard, with OpenAI or whatever, I really wonder where all this is going to go. So anyways, that's my thought for the day. And remember, when in doubt, Chinaman bad. Chinaman bad. Hey, why did the Chinaman become successful? What was it because he studied really hard? Oh no. Was it because he worked really hard? Oh no. Was it because he found a way to offer something a better value proposition? Oh no. Chinaman successful because they cheat. The white people are paragons of virtue. Chinaman just bad. Anyways, can we just stop that? Again, it's yellow. As I said, like again, why I talk about this whole racism thing so much is again, like I literally have a degree in criminal justice. I earned my degree in criminal justice in Baltimore City, like where we had very, very vivid demonstrations of the insanity of structural racism. And again, like, and the stuff that I read nowadays, again, books on it and the whole nine yards. And that's where, like, it's just, if you look at this playbook, if you look at like the Biden playbook, I shit you not, and you go back and you read the things from the early 1900s, I shit you not, this is Yellow Scare fucking 101. It's not even new. It's not even like racism for a new fucking generation. It's just the racism these old bastards grew up with, and for some reason, right, they got so old, they're actually starting to say it now. But anyways, that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. So anyways, I've got to go do some classes. See y'all later.